Welcome back to Postscript Marie Antoinette. We're covering the second to last episode, The Ostrich Bitch. We've seen a lot, Beth. So how are you feeling about it up to this point?
I don't have feelings.
You don't have feelings?
No.
You don't have feelings today. It's
I'm
okay.
just numb today. But no, I think like, I don't know, this was like another kind of roller coaster of the family and Marie. And then, you know, by the end of it, she had like her nightmares coming back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like.
I feel apprehensive because they kind of hint at, and because this is based on history, we know that it doesn't end well for them. That she's very concerned with Mopa. She says that they're trying to destroy us. And they kind of do with these things. So, I'm a little apprehensive, but there's a new baby and everyone's happy about that.
I know.
So I think even in real life, I think Provence was even actually like so happy about the baby that he couldn't hide it. But then he probably like remembered himself and was miserable again. But
of course, he has to be. So how else are you feeling?
I'm not feeling great. So you might notice that I sound like I have like cotton balls in my nose. I think it's allergies trying to kill me. That turned into sinusitis. It's a whole thing, but I feel like trash.
Oh.
So my boss is making me go home after this. So
which is good.
Yeah.
But we are all very thankful that you are still here today.
I am still here. I'm still kicking above ground. It's a good day.
Oh my goodness.
So we want to know your thoughts. Send us an email at ps@witf.org. DM us on Instagram at WITFORG or Facebook at WITF.org. I had to consult my notes today.
No, that's okay. Yeah. You're allowed to. I consult the notes all the time. Or you can leave a comment on the video of this podcast by visiting YouTube/@WITF Mosaic.
So are you ready to jump into it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we open with an announcement.
I love this announcement.
Marie is like on a mission. She's walking with purpose down the hall. She walks into Louis' office. She doesn't knock. She just barges right in there. Or taps. She doesn't tap.
She doesn't tap.
And she says, I have to talk to you. One of your courtiers kicked me in the stomach. And I was like, well, that's a weird way to announce your pregnancy. But
really?
Allie's notes, she says, oh, she was joking about the baby kicking.
Oh, you didn't realize
I did not realize that the courtier was the baby inside her. No, it took me until Allie's note here. And I'm like, that makes so much more sense now. So Marie's pregnant.
I thought, oh, she's pregnant. The baby's kicking her. Oh,
no, it's
even though she's like so early, you can't really feel that.
She feels her stomach, right? And then I'm just like, oh, like somebody could lose their head for kicking her in the stomach. Like that seems like a really weird announcement. But no, it was.
She's like, because the baby, her courtier is
the courtier.
Well, I'm glad you figured that out.
Allie figured it out, so that's the only reason that I was clued in.
How the first pregnancy. So I was pregnant 3 times. The first time was a miscarriage, but we found out we were on a road trip, so I just took a test in like a Burger King bathroom.
Oh my gosh!
And got Casey
that's
a
like
little
the
crown.
Yeah.
And I was like, here you go, you're a dad. And we're both like,
what?
And then I know, but then
that's just realistic. That's real life happening.
It is. And then my firstborn, I just like peed on the stick and then left it in the bathroom and then like got a shower, and I was like, okay. When I was done, I was like, oh my God, is that positive? Like it was like, it was so like,
it was faint.
Yeah, it was so faint, and we were trying, so I was like super excited, but it was like so faint. So I like had him check, and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "I think we are. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I should go get this checked."
Yeah, so I waited like a week, and then did it again, and then got another one. And then for my second born, it was New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And I took the test, and then
just to see if you can drink the champagne.
No, actually, I watched them, but we weren't like out or anything because we had a newborn at that point. Like,
true. Okay.
He was only 9 months old, so I took the test and then watched the ball drop, and then after that, went and checked it, and it was like super faint again, and I was like, I don't know.
Every time it's like,
this?
Are you?
Yeah. So then I waited a couple days, took it again, and I was like, okay, positive. And I didn't tell Casey right away.
Oh.
And then I like cricketed a shirt for.
So you like went all out
my
for
first.
This.
Oh yeah, I cricketed a shirt, and then I had my son wear it, and it said like leveling up to player one leveling up Leveling Up to Big Brother.
Yes,
and then it had like the little
That's cute.
Xbox controller because he played Xbox. So I like cricketed that and put it on a shirt, and then I had a little scavenger hunt, and it was like looking here and looking here and looking here, and then eventually
that's a lot of work.
I know, I can't believe I did all this. And I was like, take your kid's jacket off or something, and then he took the jacket off, and it said that, and I was like, oh my gosh. But the funniest thing,
I feel like if I did that to Matt, he'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
I know. So then I like for family members, we put that shirt on him, and we were like FaceTiming them, and I was like, "Oh look, did you see? Look, I made this shirt," and they're like,
"What's this?
What? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! You're having a baby!" It was like, it was so funny.
Matt will sometimes say things that would imply that we're having a baby while with my parents, and my dad's always like, "Are you trying to tell us something?" I'm like, "No. Oh my God, no."
When I dropped, I did put a shirt on him for dropping him off to the nanny, and I was just like, she'll find out whenever. Like he had a sweatshirt
eventually
or jacket on. She'll have to take the jacket off eventually,
right?
And so her kid actually saw it first, so she just took the jacket off and just
went
running around
and
went around, and then her other kid was like, "Did you see what it says on his shirt?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was so funny.
Oh, that's really
so I get like a text like, "I didn't even know they had to point it out to me."
I didn't notice. I would not notice the T-shirt probably.
Really?
I'd just be like going on with my life. Like
you're like, "Oh, you're sweating here. Take your jacket off. Here's breakfast. Here's this.
Let's go.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really cute. Thanks for sharing that.
So I love little baby announcements. I love hearing all that stuff.
Oh, I'm just gonna be like, it's happening. Oh no, our worst fear has come true.
Oh my gosh. It'd be funny.
In the next scene, we find out, back to the show.
Yeah.
In the next scene, we find out that Marie's not quite taking her brother's advice. We see Yolande is dressing Marie because Lamballe is late again, and
she's
they just couldn't wait.
Yeah.
But Lamballe looks really upset. Like, it looks like she's going to have a panic attack.
I think she had a panic attack.
I don't know if it's the corset, because you can't breathe in those. Like,
well, I think it was like a panic attack. Yeah. Probably helped because she was like, so I think like she was actually having a panic attack.
Yeah, she's not a fan.
Yeah, panic attacks are no fun.
No, they're terrible. I've had many of them. And every time I'm like, this is just a panic attack. You're not dying. Everything's fine.
It'll be okay. But like
in 20 minutes, I will be okay.
Yeah.
As Marie and Louis make their way through the members of court, Chartres whispers to Marie, "You do know my heart is shattered." And Louis looks really annoyed by this.
I didn't catch Louis' face
there. Louis looks kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, he doesn't look happy about it.
So Marie told him that she was pregnant. But they were announcing it to the court. Together. Maybe that's what she did, because he said, "You do know my heart is shattered," meaning she has a baby, he can't be with her, I guess, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, the rumor, it turns out, is that he is the father, but Louis doesn't want to accept that. Yeah. So I don't know. I couldn't find any information as to whether there's any truth to that or not.
I couldn't either.
I tried to. So, yeah, Louis announces to the court, it's with great happiness that I can announce the queen is pregnant with our first child. And they look so happy. It makes me so happy for both of them. Like, I was on top of the world for them. Even the aunts are like, we'll never get rid of her now unless it's a girl.
My gosh, those aunts.
Yeah, they're just mean. And Provence the dick. Provence says, if it's a boy, we're finished, to Josephine, because, they're plotting to try and overthrow.
Yep. Our notes aren't complete without having Provence the dick in it.
Provence the dick is in every single episode. We have to call him that.
Write it. Yep.
So the stage is set and Marie's pregnant, so there's going to be a power struggle. Because there always is.
Yeah.
There's always a power struggle.
But it's like exhausting.
Yeah, I can't imagine constantly like sparring with your family. Like, yeah. I wasn't a big fan of my sister's now husband. I love him now, but I wasn't a huge fan at the start of their like re-courtship because, he was Provence the dick. And I just had to let that go. And now he's great. And they have 2 beautiful kids. And I love those kids with all of my heart. But yeah, it's just like, it's too exhausting. It's too exhausting to keep that up. We now flash forward 6 months later.
Yes.
Louis is measuring Marie's stomach with a ribbon, and he tells her that she's grown 2 inches since the 27th of March, which is perfectly normal for a pregnancy
August.
What did I say?
It does not say March at all.
March. Okay, no, 27th of August
But
perfectly normal for
I didn't know
6 months.
that the date was said. So he said, you've grown 2 inches and you're 6 months along. And I was like, 2 inches in 6 months? So like I looked it up.
Like,
actually,
what's the normal? Yeah, just give us your closer look.
I looked it
on
up
this.
and I was like, 2 months, like, is this... Like, what is normal for that? Because that can't be it. So I looked it up because I'm like, I was not 2 inches at 6 months.
6 months, that's usually when your belly has popped.
3 different places said you grow pretty much double the size, and it's like a basketball.
Oh,
so like you're big
yes.
at 6 months. So I was like, okay, that makes sense because like these are 3 different websites that say like your uterus should be the size of a basketball at the end of your second trimester,
uncomfortable,
which is 6 months. Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
My sister, it was probably around 6 months when her doctor was like, all I'm saying is if you don't gain any more weight, it would be okay. And she was just like, oh my God.
My doctor told my sister that she was not gaining enough weight.
Oh.
And so she was really worried about that. So then she like ate like
everything.
So bad and everything.
3.
But she looked back, hindsight 2020, she was really working out and everything.
Oh, so
and then
she
she
was
got pregnant and stopped. So all of her muscle mass was turning into fat.
Yeah.
And muscle weighs more than fat.
Right. So she was losing weight.
Or she was just like a little bit losing remaining.
Muscle.
I think she was kind of like remaining. Like they shouldn't have focused so much on the weight versus like
to freak
her
somebody
behaviors
out like
and stuff like that.
The baby's fine, that sort of thing. There's other ways to check that everything's working out fine.
Yeah. So, but then Marie says, God help us if it's a girl.
Right.
We'll have plenty of time to have boys.
And Marie's like, tell that to my mom. And he says, don't worry about mama. You have me now. And I'm feeling happy for them. But I'm also very upset that Louis knows more about pregnancy than she does because her only job was to get pregnant.
And she knows nothing.
And she knows nothing about pregnancy.
So,
their happiness is interrupted.
Yeah.
Because a note slides under the door.
Of course.
And it's more gossip. And it's a fully censored libel.
I didn't get to see that.
No, wait,
I didn't watch Press Room.
I didn't watch Press Room either. I have
pic.
no idea what's on it, but it's naked people.
Clearly.
It is Marie Antoinette copulating with the Duke of Chartres. So,
of course.
So that's not great. And at the top says the ostrich bitch and her lover. Mm-hmm. Real nice. And then we cut to the aunts who are giggling over the pamphlet because they're mean girls.
And he's impressive.
Yeah, and Chartres is impressive. So, I mean, she apparently doesn't have a narrow vagina if this holds any, any truth. Josephine says there's no smoke without fire, implying that, they are having an affair. And Provence says, I couldn't possibly comment on that filthy smut, which he's enjoying it. Meanwhile, obviously, Marie and Louis are trying to put a stop to it. So in Louis's office with Maupas, she tells Maupas, this isn't just about me. She tells Louis, I guess. This isn't just about me. It's a grotesque attack on us.
Yes.
And Louis assigns Maupas to investigate. Mm-hmm. Marie doesn't trust Maupas for obvious reasons. Because he tried to lock her up in a convent forever.
Yeah.
Do you trust Maupas?
No.
Okay.
But
I don't.
He's trying
either.
to know everything, and he wants to know everything about Marie, and thinks that she's hiding something.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so I really think that he's just looking out for the kingdom and the king
and France.
Yeah. So that's really what he's looking out for, which is his job.
Right.
So
I guess
I get
it's
it.
like the bank
auditors.
That's
his first.
It's their job.
Yeah, it's his job to look out for France. So his first job is not to look out for Marie.
That makes sense. And he doesn't like Austria. So
yeah.
There we go.
So but then they go and
but he says, "Let me protect you."
Yeah. So they go and search everyone.
Yeah. They start with the court. So they interview Madame Royale first, and she says, "It's not me. The libel is a product of a warped mind, and she doesn't have a warped mind." Then Provence comes in. Allie's notes say, cue man with warped mind. Provence looks on with amusement as Saint-Georges is searched, and Saint-Georges is searched. He's just happy because he doesn't like Saint-Georges, and he's a little bit racist. A lot bit racist, actually.
Yeah.
Provence is. And Saint-Georges is Chartres' friend.
Yes.
So he thinks maybe they're going to get closer to the truth there.
Mm-hmm.
Maupas has swept the court and recommends to Louis that they move closer to home because they haven't found anything in the ordinary court. So now we have to look at the relatives.
Yeah.
Louis says, very well, do it. Thank you, Maupas. And Allie made a note that she likes that he says thank you because you don't see that a lot with kings. So I wonder if Louis XVI actually was as gentlemanly.
As this one?
Yeah,
maybe.
So we're gonna start with everyone's favorite, Provence. He comes into Louis's office and he says, "Do you have a moment?" And Louis says, "I'm working," but he just has to say, his piece. And Provence basically
says, he has to put
says,
doubt into Louis's mind.
Right.
That's really his goal here, is to put doubt into Louis's mind.
And the legitimacy of the child.
Yes.
Because what if it is a boy? Then it would be an heir.
Exactly.
So he's like, "Hey, have you considered that Chartois is the father?" And Louis just basically shuts it down completely.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the unedited version, apparently he says, "You've seen the way he looks at her. The man is cunt-struck." And I was like, wait, did they say that on PBS and I missed it? But no. So there you go. That was some of the bleeping. Well, they just silenced it out. So I thought, I was like, I don't remember hearing that.
No.
But in the captions I watched again, it's just like A's with accent points where that word is. See you next Tuesday. So Provence is a snake.
He's trying to put some doubt. And like, I don't think Chartois has
we're looking to Allie for guidance.
I don't think it's his kid, just based on where we're at and how they like Marie is like Louis in love with Marie, and I think Marie actually really does love him
at this point. I mean, I could find no evidence of it actually being true on the internet, which knows all of our secrets.
Yeah.
So
then we find that Schott and Saint George are walking the halls, and then they discuss, and then we find out that like he actually does like Marie.
At least in this storyline. Like, I don't know if this is true in real life, but Saint George is basically like, you have a crush on her, and he's like, it's lust, and like trying to brush it off.
But no, he actually does have a crush.
I think he really does like her.
Yeah.
And he's also asking, like, is it accurate? Which I thought was really funny because that's how boys would talk. To continue the investigations, the palace guards pluck Chartois from Saint-Georges and bring him to Maupas.
Of course.
There was a lot of French names, and I butchered them all.
No, you didn't. You did a good job.
Maupas invited him there because he's depicted in the libel. Do you have any idea who might be responsible? And he implies that as heir, I can't say words today, as heir to the house of De Leon. I don't know. She has anyways.
Well, it's spelled Orleans.
Yeah, it looks like Orleans. I'm sorry.
Orleans that we
American.
say here, but I think it's House d'Orléans.
But he would benefit from casting doubt on the Bourbon line. So he does have something in this fight too. And Chartois says, "It's not me who calls her the ostrich bitch. Why don't you investigate the Bourbons?" And Maupas says, "I'm investigating everyone."
And here we are.
And now we're on to the ants. So each of them glance at the pants as they were passing Chartois.
I would probably too,
because they were
just. I mean, I clocked Joseph last episode.
It's true. So. I didn't even notice.
I clocked Joseph in the bathroom.
I'm glad that this note is in here. So I was trying to figure out. Oh, okay. So Allie did look it up. So Adelaide's in the blue and Victoire's in the purple.
Okay.
I think Victoire is the one that like feels supremely uncomfortable with all the questions and wants to tell the truth. Correct?
Yes.
No, it's the other.
No,
one?
Yeah. Adelaide is the innocent one.
Oh, okay. Well, one of them,
or the innocent one in quotations. They're not really.
One
innocent,
of them is like they want to confess it all, and the other one's like
Adelaide.
Shut up.
And Victoire. I think Victoire is older than Adelaide.
Okay.
I don't think they're twins.
I know they're not twins.
Yeah,
I looked that up. I was trying to make sense of it. But anyways, Adelaide, according to these notes, almost spills the beans inadvertently, admitting that they call her the ostrich bitch.
Well, yeah, I mean,
because everyone's heard it. So
I know.
I don't know how they can deny it. But Victoire says like, no, shut up, basically.
Yeah.
So Chartois visits Marie to see how she's doing, but she's obviously very uncomfortable with the fact that he's there. They do get a little bit cozy, though, while he's visiting, and then she kicks him out of the room. And
I still don't think there's anything going on.
You still don't think so?
I think it's just a friendship. I think that she just
thinks
it's a friendship.
they're implying a lot of like questionable things, but like we haven't seen anything that would imply that this is a romantic relationship. Like it's flirtatious for sure, but
I don't think it's romantic.
You can flirt with your friends.
Yeah.
There's a line. But she hears footsteps as Chartois leaving, and I'm wondering if the hypnotist saw him leave, because I think it was the hypnotist in the hallway.
Okay.
But somebody was out there.
Somebody
and she
did
looks
see,
really nervous about it. So as this is all happening, there's some subplot going on. Lamballe is being hypnotized so she can flick Polignac away like a small fly. She just closes her eyes and flicks. Polignac is calming Marie. Marie wants Polignac to join her household, and Lamballe comes to Marie telling her about Dr. Mesmer. I forgot his name. Dr. Mesmer.
You say Polignac. And how that's Yolande. We called her Yolande. I just don't want our listeners to be a little confused.
Okay.
So
Marie
Yolande is with
Yolande
Marie.
to join the household.
Yeah, and she's talking to her. And then
Lamballe comes in, is like, oh my gosh, you got to know Dr. Mesmer.
Yeah.
And
so I actually did a closer look on Dr. Mesmer. So Franz Anton Mesmer was born May 23rd, 1734, and he died March 5th, 1815. He's a physician who, like, the system of therapeutics knows as mesmer. He was the forerunner of the modern practice of hypnotism, which we found out.
All the rage.
He was all the rage. So what I found interesting, like his dissertation in 1766 was in the University of Vienna. So he was in Vienna.
So he has some tie to Austria.
Yep, he lived there. He suggested the gravitational attraction of the planets affected human health by affecting an invisible fluid found in the human body and throughout nature.
Okay.
So it was the planets and the attraction. He revised it in 1775, and it was previously called animal gravitation, to animal magnetism.
Okay, which he references in the show.
And wherein the invisible fluid in the body acted according to the laws of magnetism that are out. Okay. He was accused of fraud by Viennese physicians and left Austria, came to Paris. So here, this is how he got here in 1778. Perfect timing to get into Lamballe. He lived this extravagant life. After some time, he attracted antagonism of the medical profession. In 1784, King Louis XVI appointed a commission of scientists and physicians to investigate his methods.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's going to be here.
That a bad thing?
I think it's just because
bad things.
Yeah, because there were all antagonism, like hypnotism. It's like people don't believe in it, and so scientists who study, like hypnotism is. Oh, magnetism's in it's invisible fluid in your body, so it's not like it's not clear, solid data,
right?
So, but on the commission of scientists, commissioner members. Benjamin Franklin was on it, the American inventor and French chemist.
He's a very interesting person.
I know. And then Antoine Laurent Lavoisier were both on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're well-known scientists. They actually reported that that Mesmer was unable to support scientific claims, so there's no data.
Right.
And the Mesmerist movement thereafter declined.
Oh.
So, but whatever,
we still use
like he did
today.
he did achieve a close rapport with his patients and seemed to actually like alleviate some certain nervous disorders like in them.
Right. Our brains
which
are
is why I
things.
They are. So I think that's why.
If it works for you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when he actually, I don't know if we're going to talk about that later. So anyway.
I don't know either.
We'll bring it up later. I don't remember. I didn't look that far in advance.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. We're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we'll see how Louis and Marie feel about these investigations. Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, before we actually go to dinner with some enemies, I can't even call them frenemies because they're not friends. But before we do that, we have a little bit of trouble between the happy couple.
The happy couple, there's a seed of doubt.
There is.
Provence was successful in planting a seed of doubt.
Of course.
Marie asks Louis how she looks because she's been eating for Austria, and he corrects her.
I can't believe she said she was eating for Austria.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I mean, her only job to her mother was to produce an heir, so I can understand why she said Austria.
I still can't believe it.
But yeah, Louis like doesn't take kindly to Marie's. She's implying that it's a member of his family that are writing these labels.
It has to be it just has to be prior
to
this.
Like her.
The dove gets captured in Josephine's window.
Yeah,
so we know.
Well, we do
who
know.
It is.
Well, I was like Josephine of Provence, so I was like, I'm going to find out this episode.
Yes, we are going to find out this episode.
And she says it's obvious to everyone but him, and he's kind of shifts gears by asking her if there's any truth in the libel.
Of course.
And she shakes her head, but her eyes are kind of teary, and they just keep making it seem like she's not really answering yes or no. She's dodging this question, so we don't know for sure if there's any truth in it. It's just so they're planting the seed of doubt in our heads too.
Yeah, it might just be where she could have some emotional tie to him.
Yeah,
not sleeping with him.
Well,
but
no,
it could just be she cares about him.
He's her only friend in the entire French court in the show.
And the only one at the dinner table that's kind
nice.
to her.
Yeah. So I could understand why either way, but we don't know why she's tearing up.
Yeah.
At dinner, the conversation is awkward. Provence suggests they talk about the weather.
I mean, why are they at dinner in the first place? Do they have to do this? They're so rude to them. Why would I wouldn't
Why
go to
would
dinner?
You have dinner with these
Marie
rude
doesn't
people
do anything.
who have served her oysters, by the way.
They clearly did that on purpose.
That's so
because Josephine's
gross.
here, have an oyster, but you're not supposed to eat raw fish
when
you're
know
pregnant.
That in the 1700s?
At this point, I'm assuming they did not.
Okay.
But it's still so gross, and the sliminess and the yucky texture could make you throw up especially when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So,
it was just rude.
Yeah, it was rude. And Josephine's here, another.
Yeah.
She's
I don't needling.
like her.
Josephine's an awful person.
She is.
Provence is basically saying, you must be happy about this news. And this is when Josephine becomes an even bigger. She's the real bitch in this episode. She is. An even bigger bitch. Yep. She's she goes over and she feels Marie's stomach and she's like, when was the last time?
Pause.
Right?
Don't ever touch a pregnant woman's belly unless they say you can.
Rude.
I was like, Josephine, don't touch her.
Everyone
she said
just
no.
feels entitled
Marie
to
said
the
no.
queen's body.
They
at
do.
All times.
Oh, here, let me just touch your belly. And then the rudeness comes out. Oh.
Yeah. So she's like, when was the last time you felt the baby kick? I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything at all. Are you quite sure it's alive?
I know. She's so rude.
What the heck was that?
Yeah.
I censored myself as I was going. So Marie, obviously, she panics because this is her only job is to produce an heir. Yeah. And she runs away from the table, and Louis is obviously mad. He says, I would have expected better of you, madam.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst because he says, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. And Provence says, bravo, that was remarkably callous, even for you. I was like, wow. When Provence says you're being a dick, you're really being a dick. And Josephine says, why should she have a baby if I can't have one? It's just so petty and mean.
Especially because last episode she said it's them, not us.
Right.
So
there was this moment where she was trying to strike an uneasy alliance. I guess.
And she does this kind of crap
and
draws all those pictures. Anyway.
Yeah, but anyway.
Sorry, guys. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It's Josephine. Louis goes to comfort and check on her after all of this, so it's really nice to see them. Even though he has his doubts and he's probably not feeling super solid about this right now, he still has her back. Mm-hmm. It's really nice. And behind the scenes, Maupas puts Yolande up to a task. She has to dig deeper. She has to find out if Marie is hiding something like Chartois, perhaps.
Yeah.
And so do you think Yolande is actually her friend, or do you think Joseph is right? Because I'm leaning more towards Joseph because he's a member of my family.
I just love Joseph. It's weird because in articles that I've read and stuff, Yolande is actually a really close friend and tries to help them through the revolution and stuff like that with letters. So I feel like she wants to be her
maybe
friend.
It's a little bit of both.
So I think that she's a little bit of both. Sure, I'll keep digging. I mean, she's getting paid.
Yeah, she is getting paid by
Maupas. She can't continue on her lifestyle without getting paid.
Without any money.
And
Unless she joins the household, like Marie wants her to do.
She won't join the household because she won't deal with Lamballe.
Right. She doesn't want to grovel to the governess.
Jeez.
So the investigation is still on, and next on the list is Josephine. Maupas getting close.
Finally.
He's getting close.
Mm-hmm.
He asks her about life at Versailles, how it must be lonely, being so far from home, losing a pregnancy.
Your husband being a dick.
Yeah. He says, you must feel some loyalty to your husband. Casting doubt on legitimacy would benefit Provence.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of gets mad and says, well, then why aren't you talking to Provence? Oh, that's right. You can't. And only the king, this is how we find out, only the king can interview his brother. Josephine says her marriage isn't happy. She is lonely. And she's sad not to hold her own child. She's really playing up the sympathy. Like, how dare you just think that I could do something like this? But she's not so bitter to accuse an innocent man.
Mm-hmm.
And then as she's leaving, Josephine tells Provence that Maupas is more interested in Provence than Josephine.
Of course. Let me throw my husband
watch
under the
out,
bus.
Provence.
Yeah.
And they also find the printing press.
Yes,
that
finally.
is printing the libels. So no more deliveries, at least. But the original is still missing.
Of course.
I'm
surprised nobody lost their head at the printing press for printing something like that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe somebody did.
Maybe they did.
I didn't take a closer look into that. But
didn't.
Louis seems to be somewhat nice.
They would lose their job. I would shut down that place.
Instead of executing his brother, he punches him in the face.
That's true.
So
Ooh, let's get to that. I'm excited. I like that scene.
Maupas basically tells them that, you don't have to worry about anything. Versailles is a snake pit, spewing out poison, and snakes generally end up destroying each other.
Yep, that's correct.
But Marie says not unless they destroy us first. So, foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
And Louis journals to himself, the question of who is responsible looms large in my head. Provence or Chartois? I think I know the answer. So who's responsible for this? So both
But he thinks he knows the answer.
He thinks he knows the answer, but we don't know
what do you think his answer is?
I don't know what his answer
From Louis?
is.
I think he thinks it's Chartois.
You think he thinks it's Chartois, but he knows his brother is like a slimy, good for nothing.
I think that he cares too much about his family to think that his brother would do this, and I think he thinks it's Chartois.
Wow.
Because
both of their
Chartois,
apartments.
remember the look in the beginning?
Oh, right.
He looked at him.
But I mean, that's the whole question of whether the child is his or not too.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't matter because both of their apartments are ransacked. They both come back and their apartments are just torn apart. But they bring in Chartois.
Mm-hmm.
The original sketch was found in his apartment and Chartois claims it was planted. And he says, my feelings for her, the king is in the room while he's being interviewed. He says, my feelings for her run far too deep. And Louis says, are you confessing your love for my wife? I'm like, this is uncomfortable, Chartois. You better backpedal quick. And he says, I'm pleading my innocence. And he says, that doesn't answer my question. He says, I'm not responsible for the libel. But he gets locked away.
Yes.
In a tower.
Original,
I don't know where he's locked away.
Know.
He's just in this room with a bunch of boxes, a storage room. And while Louis works out some of his anger on blacksmithing, Provence demands an apology for his apartment being ransacked. And this is when Louis drops the bomb that he knows that Josephine's pregnancy was a fake.
Yeah. Sorry, dude.
So
your apartment is not off limits at this point.
Right.
I'm going to search your apartment. I am the king. I can do what I want.
Exactly. And I would feel really uncomfortable if I were Provence because he's holding very hot fire things in his hands
right in front of him.
Waving and you need to get out of here, Provence. He does not owe you an apology.
He does not.
You are a big freaking jerk. But before we follow up on Provence, we're going to check on Marie.
Yes.
Lamballe and Yolande are both bickering over Dr. Mesmer and Chartois. It's like they're just being childish.
Yes.
Marie kicks them both out of the room. She's so annoyed. She has a headache.
Yep.
She's very pregnant. She's just like, get out.
Yes.
And to calm down, Marie calls Dr. Mesmer to her room to help her. Mm-hmm. She says, I don't have the spirit to fight her anxieties by her, alone, by herself.
Yeah.
And he says, you know your mind. I wouldn't change that and I wouldn't want to try.
Well, it's because, when people go through hypnotism and stuff like that, you have to be very suggestible.
Yeah.
You have to be. You have to be open and, easily kind of persuaded.
Wonder if I could be hypnotized because I feel like I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
Have you ever been I might.
I know a place.
You know,
we go do it?
Oh my gosh,
we
should go do it. But I'm also afraid. I'm also afraid of what.
I'm afraid that somebody would be like, every time you hear, you have to jump like a frog, and then all of a sudden I'll start jumping like a frog
everywhere.
Like that's what I'm terrified of.
No,
so like
I
if I go to
of
be hypnotized, I need somebody in the room to make sure the hypnotist doesn't hypnotize me and make me crazy. But then I also have to trust that person not to make sure that they don't make me crazy.
Right.
Jump like a frog.
Well, then I can't take Matt because he would be like, make her do silly things when the dogs bark. Mm-hmm. And I'd just be doing silly things all the time.
Make her bark like a dog when the dogs bark.
Oh my gosh. But yes, because Lamballe's suggestible, she can be hypnotized. And that's why she's so delicate, because she's suggestible. And Marie says, why am I so terrified? And it's because you don't believe in your strengths. Trust your instincts and you'll find it. I was like, that's solid
She's
advice,
a strong woman.
She is. She's
really
very strong-willed.
Yes.
She doesn't realize that she is because she doesn't have any control over her own life because of society. After his talk with Louis, Provence accuses Josephine of disclosing her fake pregnancy. And she's like, why would I do that? He called her a witless, hysterical fool, which is rude. That's your wife, but she is kind of mean. So she goes over and she digs out her libels and she thrusts them at him and says, is that the work of a witless, hysterical fool? And so they like sit down together and they're like talking about it, laughing. Like Provence is really entertained by the fact that, like, dude, if Louis finds out, it's not going to end well for you.
I know.
Like, I don't understand why he's being so chill about this.
Yep.
But as they're leaving the apartment, Yolande hears them leaving and laughing. And Josephine notices Yolande in the hallway and very uncomfortably walks back in her apartment. So Yolande knows
something's up.
If they're laughing together, something is up.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think Josephine is toast.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll see how Chartois is faring, locked away in his tower.
I know. With the boxes.
With the boxes.
We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. It is almost time to have a baby.
Yes.
Here we go.
It's almost go time.
Yes. But first we start with like Marie checking in to make sure that Chartois was it not the person who drew the bells.
Now she has doubt planted in her mind.
Exactly.
And so she says, look me in the eye. Which is funny because that's exactly what my sister does to her kids. She goes, look me in the eye.
Yeah.
Matt's so afraid of her.
Eyes.
That's so nice.
Eyes.
No, Matt's afraid of my sister because she says, look me in the eyes to her kids. She says, look me in the eyes and tell me, was it you? And he says, of course not. And Marie believes him. That's all it takes to convince her.
Yeah.
Like, she trusts him. And he says, you know how I feel about you, Antoinette. And she says, yes, you merely tolerate me. And she turns around and leaves.
She's flirting.
So she's still flirting with him.
Yes. And he calls her Antoinette.
Said
Marie. So like that's another, like her middle name.
Oh, well, yeah. A lot of them call her Toinette.
Yeah.
So.
Well, her close friends call her Toinette. And her mother calls her Toinette.
And he calls her Antoinette. So they are close.
Track this.
And then as she's leaving, her water breaks. I'm like, boom. Oh no, just like that. Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, is this bad? Because she was
go
visiting
time.
Chartois when her water broke, but they don't really address that in the show. So I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's go time. Marie's in labor. Yolande goes back to Josephine's apartment as Josephine leaves to witness the birth of Marie's baby.
So weird.
Marie is screaming.
Yes.
The doctor's telling her to push. Louis looks appalled. I mean, childbirth is not pretty.
No, it's not. There's like 50 people in there. This poor woman with her legs spread. Everybody's staring right up her dress.
Listen, apparently it's common for you to poop on the table when you're giving birth. I just learned this probably 5 years ago.
So you didn't just learn it, but you learned
5
it.
years ago. Well, pretty recently. I should say pretty recently.
Yeah,
I learned that is normal. So she has an audience for that. Like, it's not right.
It's very normal.
Marie starts making these strange gaggy screams and the nightmares are back. So
I know. They were
Lamballe's
crazy.
head is like on a stake.
So weird that Lamballe's was on a stake.
And the aunts are conjoined twins. They're just one body, two heads. And one guy.
Like
I don't know
real
who
life.
was on the ground whose skin was flaking off. His white skin was flaking off. But That's happening.
It was all very creepy.
It's no fun.
No.
Back at the apartment, though, Yolande she finds the loose floorboard where the libels are hidden. Like, I don't know why you would put it under it looked like it was a broken floorboard, but
because she had to hide it and nobody's going to
broke it.
Yeah.
So that she could hide it.
Probably.
I
guess
know.
so.
It looked pretty obvious to me.
Oh, okay.
But I guess it's because I knew it was in there somewhere. She casually heads straight to Marie's room, takes the scissors from Lamballe. Lamballe just like picked up these scissors. Like, I don't know. She's going to stab Marie in the stomach while she's giving birth with all of these witnesses. And without hesitation, Louis not having any luck calming Marie down. She's like in a tizzy. But yeah. Yolande goes down there. She calms Marie. The baby's born and Marie passes out.
Yes.
And Louis actually, I got to give him credit. This was nice that they did this. He actually looks more concerned about his wife than finding out what the sex of the baby is, which is what everyone else is obsessed with.
I loved that he was like very concerned for her and wanted to know more, like wanted to make sure she was okay.
Yeah.
That was really good.
And Yolande cuts the bottom of Marie's foot and Marie wakes up. Is that common? Like, is that a thing?
I didn't even look into that.
I tried to look into it and I couldn't find anything.
Did she cut her foot? Like, I rewatched it a few times.
Yeah,
like, that
she
scene.
cuts her foot.
It's very weird.
And then Marie comes
I was like, whose foot did she cut? I was like, is that Marie's? Because how is Marie supposed to walk in heels if you cut the bottom of her foot?
I mean, that would suck. I wasn't sure if it was like maybe it's a thing they did in the back of that day when a mother would pass out after giving birth.
Yeah, to wake them up.
So I don't know. But we find out Marie's awake. It's a girl. It's Madame Royale. And Marie and Louis are both very, very happy. And Mercy locks eyes with Marie because he has to go off and tell Austria the bad news. He's like, quote unquote. He's like, yep, it's not a boy, but I will deliver this news. Mm-hmm. And Louis thanks Marie for bringing him great joy.
I know.
I love you, Louis. I'm back to loving you.
He was so sweet to say all of that to her. He really was.
Yeah, because ordinarily it's the boy that matters.
Yes.
But he doesn't care.
Yep.
No, this will be one of many.
Yep. One of many. So I actually did a closer look on the baby girl being born.
Okay.
So this was December 19th, 1778 is when she was born.
This is where we are in the timeline.
Yep. So when she was two inches bigger from August, it was like September timeline.
Right.
Okay. Her name is Marie Therese, known as Madame Royale.
Everybody's name was Marie Therese.
Everybody's name. So, she spent her childhood in the court, and she was only one of the few of the royal children who survived the revolution.
Yeah.
So some actually, were, I guess, beheaded or killed.
I
don't know if they were
all
beheaded, but
died in captivity, essentially.
Okay. So at first she was sentenced to death by the revolutionaries, but the sentence was commuted to permanent exile.
That's a better fate.
Yes.
Yes.
So she actually, and then she came back, became the Dauphine de France in 1824, remained devoted to the monarchy for the rest of her life.
So she went back to the scene of all of her trauma, I assume. Maybe she wasn't as traumatized as we think.
Yeah. So I actually have I have a couple more things.
Okay.
She was christened on the same day. So when we go into the christening scene, that's the same exact day as Marie giving birth.
So they put her in that tight, uncomfortable dress to go to the church the same day she gave birth.
That's what the Google,
that's
the internet,
what the Google
says. I mean, that's what they said.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This
was on that
absolutely awful
Chateau de Versailles website.
Oh my gosh. So then it's probably pretty accurate.
I think so.
I mean, the christening, the baptism essentially it's very important in Catholicism, but to drag the mother along for it, that's
that
same day.
Well, you have to christen the baby, but usually it's within 3 months you christen the baby, not that day. Now it's within 3 months.
Oh, well maybe it was more urgent
the same day.
In the day of royalties.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you know what christening is. Why people the Catholic religion
than baptism.
It's just, I think it's the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's to save the soul of the baby from purgatory.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, you know why. So I think that's probably why they did it that day instead of waiting. But I'm fair. Oh my gosh, okay, wipe yourself down. You're still bleeding.
tightened up in a corset.
Yep.
Your hair's all done.
Oh yeah,
her
whole hair was done. Yeah.
Oh god, that sounds just absolutely awful.
Yeah. So Madame Royale, she was imprisoned as a teenager. So this poor teenager.
Yeah, that's horrible.
She learned of the deaths of her aunt and brother.
Okay.
So her aunt. So then I'm like, aunt. Think here. Aunt.
An aunt.
Okay. We don't. Apparently, on this website, Chateau de Versailles, it says that the king's sister, Madame Elizabeth. Who dat?
Where is she?
Who dat? I don't know.
We met her.
I don't know.
She like off gallivanting.
All I know
somewhere,
is that
like
it's
Louis
and Provence, and I have no idea. So, does anybody know who dat? I'm confused.
That?
Who's this lady?
I had no idea that.
I know
Louis had a sister.
I know, and I wasn't able to I didn't have time to look into that more.
Okay.
So maybe somebody can write us
Was she
let us know.
At boarding school?
I have no idea because they don't reference her in the show at all either.
No, we haven't heard.
Is she in your biography that you're listening to? That book?
I don't remember.
Okay.
There's a lot of names that are exactly the same and they all blur together, and so it's really hard for me to keep track of
Marie
the
Antoinette.
cast of characters in it. Like everybody's named the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know, but I was just like, what? Who is this lady?
Well,
I mean, she has the same name as me. It's spelled with an S, not a Z. Mine's a Z. But who this lady?
I like when Elizabeth is spelled with an S. I think it looks fancy.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like extra fancy.
I'm just not fancy, and that's perfectly okay.
Well, thanks
but
for
yeah,
that.
wasn't that
We're gonna have to
interesting?
Maybe she'll show
dig that
up
up.
in the next season.
Ooh,
that would be nice.
Maybe. Yeah, that would be
we
really
actually
nice.
got to meet Louis' sister.
Yep.
Maybe she's not so awful.
I hope so. I hope somebody's
find
not
out.
awful to her.
Because we're going to jump back in with
Yes.
Josephine and Provence are back to plotting.
What a surprise.
Right. They agree that they make a good team. Like, if by good you mean evil. But this is when Provence is called to the king's office and Chartois walks past him.
He's free.
He's free. Like, his name was cleared. It's all over for him.
Exactly.
So Provence obviously is very nervous. Chartois is visiting Marie to see the baby.
Yes.
And to offer his congratulations, which is nice. And Marie says Louis finally came to his senses and asks if they found the bastard yet. And he says, no, not yet. Chartois says the baby is beautiful, just like her mother.
Aww.
And Marie says, my daughter is a Bourbon princess from the top of her head to the tips of her toes.
She's so cute.
Again, though, is she trying to say, hush up? Don't say anything to anyone.
Oh.
Because my daughter is a Bourbon princess. Okay. Wink, wink, wink.
Look at you. You do think it's shots.
I think I was trying to find evidence of this. I'm convinced it's Chartois' kid.
I know. We'll have to find out next episode.
And I don't
maybe.
care because he's the only person that was nice to her.
Yes.
Like, her husband froze her out for 7 years, 8 years.
I didn't
don't
pick
even
that
remember.
up that she said my daughter is a Bourbon princess.
She was like, listen, don't mess this up for me. Marie names Yolande, the governess of her daughter, and Lamballe, again, is crying. She's just heartbroken.
I know. Well,
because
she's
I guess
like
governess
a godmother.
doesn't have to grovel to Lamballe because Yolande seems
she's the governess.
fine.
She teaches. She's the governess
she's
of the kids,
basically
right?
like
Didn't I bring
a
that up in
tutor?
the other episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is like of all the royal children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good for
So she
her
tutors
because
them
now
and stuff.
she has money and maybe she doesn't spy on Marie anymore. Maybe this is when she's like, you know what? We're just friends now.
Well, I guess we'll just have to find out.
Back in the king's office, Louis doesn't believe that Provence isn't responsible for the libels, even though Provence technically is not responsible for the libels.
But yeah.
And Louis is like, I could execute you and Josephine, but I'm going to spare you. And
Terrible
then
idea. Execute.
Someone else gets to take the fall for this. I'm like, if you were smart, you would execute him.
Execute.
Execution. Off
We're
with
terrible.
his head. No, I guess nobody really
Just
deserves. Like, it's
send
a
him
bunch
to
of petty, stupid drama.
Covenant, right? Is that?
Oh, yeah,
right?
lock him up with the
lock him up.
nuns.
Yeah, send him to the nuns.
Yes. That's a good idea.
Right.
They could just lock him up in a convent.
There you go.
But this is when Louis finally had enough of Provence, and he punches him in the face.
Thank God. I've been waiting for this.
You deserved that.
Yes.
Every black eye you have, you deserved. And I feel mean thinking this, but Provence, you've been awful.
Yes, he's so rude.
Yeah, and Louis basically says, you will never play a role in running this country. Mm-hmm. Get out. And he sends him off. And I mean, Provence got away pretty easy.
He did.
Considering he could have lost his head.
He should have
just
lost
got
his
a
life.
black eye.
Yep.
So, in Vienna, Mama Empress is obviously not impressed because it's not a boy. Because
of course.
It's unbelievable. She let us down again. And Joseph is like, I doubt she tried to. If she's anything like you, this will be the first of many Bourbon babies. Mm-hmm. But the Empress says that they're not going to invade Bavaria. And Joseph is angry because he's like, when do I get to make some decisions? Technically, he's the emperor of the country, but his mom's calling all the shots. And she says, when I'm dead, not till I'm dead. And so he just walks off probably thinking, can't come soon enough in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm sure Toinette's thinking that too.
And the Empress writes to Antoinette and says, I implore you to stop wasting time, Toinette. I cannot wait another 8 years for you to deliver the Dauphin.
This woman is never satisfied.
No.
She's just one of those people.
Listen,
she's never satisfied.
It's finally happening, lady.
At least they had a baby.
Can have a baby.
And you realize now what the problem was, is that they did not know how to have sex.
Right.
They didn't know what they were doing.
And now they know what they're doing.
They have a baby, and you're still happy about it. Calm down, lady.
And she had several children herself. So
I'm sorry, Marie needs to heal. Okay.
Right?
She needs to heal.
Let her insides return to where they need to
be.
You're
supposed to wait 18 months.
18 months.
For your body to get back to normal. Okay. After having a baby.
Right.
18 months.
That's almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I would have one and I'd be like, I'm never doing this again.
Oh, yeah.
Never again.
Yep. Don't blame me. Mine are very close. They're 17 months apart. But I was like, I just want to get out of diapers as quick as possible. I
just want to get this over with.
Diapers, bottles,
back to back.
baby
Let's
stuff.
Be done.
Get it all done and out of here. That's all I wanted.
Finally, it says, but this is the same day. Later that day. Marie and Louis are off to baptize Madame Royale. Mm-hmm. Marie says, I forgot Marie's name for a minute there. I'm so sorry. Marie says, I guess there is a small comfort in knowing who your enemies are. And they kind of look at Provence and Josephine like, hate you. But I love her hair.
You do,
the feathers. I love it. I mean, it makes sense because she's the ostrich bitch, so that there's feathers in her hair. But I love it.
Yes.
But when they arrive in, I guess it's Paris. I don't know where exactly they traveled to, but they arrive somewhere. There's a whole throng of people outside the church, and Marie hears someone call her an ostrich bitch.
I don't think somebody called her that.
You think she imagined it?
I think she imagined it.
You really think she imagined it?
I feel like Louis would have heard it.
I feel like Louis was probably in his own world. I don't know. I think that somebody actually called her that, but maybe you're right. Because Louis is completely oblivious. He's just like, hello, everybody, hi.
Yeah, he is.
And as the baby's being baptized, Provence looks uncomfortable. Chartois looks uncomfortable. Louis is completely unaware. He's just happy. He's so happy.
And Marie looks uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, she's looking over at the aunts.
Yes.
Who started the whole ostrich bitch thing. The Empress is pleased that Marie has named her daughter after her, but daughters count for nothing in diplomatic relations. And I'm like, you married Marie off to Louis so that you'd have an 14. Alliance with France. Yes, as a child bride, but they count for nothing.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
What, lady? And so I also was like, I don't know if it's just me, but one of the aunts, the one that seemed uncomfortable about being interrogated, seems to kind of look like she was having some sympathy for Marie in the church. Like maybe she's going to soften and come around to her at some point. We'll see, I guess, in the future. But she looked like she felt kind of bad about being such
She
a
should.
meanie. Yeah.
She should.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't. I don't know. I hope somebody's at least nice to her in this family.
It would be nice if some of them started to come around.
Yeah. But maybe at this point, you're right. Maybe
this is a hard place to live.
Yeah. And maybe somebody did call her an ostrich bitch in the crowd because they eventually turn against her.
Yeah.
A lot of people still love them and are happy to see them.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people in that crowd were just cheering and like waving, and they were excited to see the royals. But
maybe there's one.
There's one person, and that's all it takes.
Can't please them all.
One person.
That's all it takes.
And then you just start spreading like a virus.
Yep.
Oh, so can you believe it? We're almost to the finale of season 1.
I just can't. Honestly, I can't believe that it's already so episode 8 next week. Like, this is insane how fast it came
There's
around.
been a lot of drama.
There is. I feel like I just went through like a whole, 8 years worth of drama in 7 episodes. Gosh, I'm tired.
Yeah,
this is
true.
exhausting.
This has been 8 years.
But imagine living that. Like, we're only watching an hour at a time. Imagine living like
that's just
8 years of
8 years of just petty nonsense.
And finally you produce an heir and people are still
But it's a girl,
you.
so it's not an heir.
Well, yeah, but still it's against you. It is stupid. Very stupid.
So what are you eager to see in that final episode?
I want to see... I don't know. I hope they don't jump too far ahead.
Right.
So that she's like pregnant again. I don't know how they're going to end this. Like, how are they going to end it? Are they going to talk about...
She has a couple kids.
She does have a couple kids. Like, they're not ending it with, like, they're not jumping so far ahead because there is, like, they're not ending it with, like, the beheading. They're...
Right, no, because
there's
more coming. So, if I remember correctly, and I could be remembering wrong, I think they're going to start talking about the American Revolution in some way.
I think so, too.
So I think that's going to be our next touch point. Is France.
So maybe they'll tease us with that.
Yeah.
Some more
that
politics.
Might be some politics stuff.
Instead of drama. Yeah. I want the drama. I want their relationship.
Oh, yeah. I love their relationship. I feel like the culmination so far has been their consummation.
Yes.
That felt like a really high moment for everybody.
Right? So anyway, everyone who's listening or who's watching, you can always email us your thoughts at ps@witf.org or engage with us on Instagram at witforg and on Facebook at witf.org.
Yes. This podcast was produced by Amorós for WITF. I'm Christina Zeiders.
And I'm Beth Cappello. And join us next week for the final episode of Season 1, Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Sounds like a happy one.
It does. I hope so. I hope it's a good ending. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.